Hi, I'm Charlie Cox.
Hi, I'm Zoe Ashton.
Hello, I'm Tom Hiddleston, and we're here on Broadway at the Jacobs Theatre talking about Betrayal.
I play Jerry, and Jerry is Robert's best friend from university. Jerry is having an affair with Robert's wife, Emma.
I play Emma, and I'm married to Robert and having an affair with Jerry.
You find out all this information in the first 5 minutes because Pinter's great conceit is that the action is played in reverse chronology. So it begins with a drink between Jerry and Emma 2 years after the affair has ended, and the last scene of the play is the very beginning. Famously, Pinter wrote in his pauses and silences and the difference between them. What we don't say is as significant as the things we do say.
It's under so many of the pauses, especially in the play. It's these characters who just, if they made themselves vulnerable for a second, maybe the play would end because everyone would say what they meant. But they kind of instead, they use words as these daggers or use sexuality as a way of dominating or controlling rather than actually sitting in something that feels genuinely intimate and vulnerable.
Jerry might be, to some people, a better match for Emma. And the fact that you learn again in the first scene that they parted company, there's almost a suggestion that she's betrayed herself. And I think all three of the characters at some time or another betray themselves.
Pinter is trying to excavate the complexity of being alive. He gave an extraordinary lecture when he won the Nobel Prize for Literature about the truth.
Language in art remains a highly ambiguous transaction. A quicksand, a trampoline, a frozen pool, which might give way under you, the author, at any time.
He says there's one line that sticks out, which is there is no one truth to be found in dramatic art. There are many truths. And I think in this play, he's very compassionate about each character's point of view, that there's Jerry's truth and Emma's truth and Robert's truth, and that their truths challenge each other and recoil from each other.
Hi guys, it's Zoe here. I'm taking over the Betrayal Broadway Instagram for our one night of mischief. Stay tuned for some spooky treats.
Very still and quiet, please, and we are rolling.
Oh hi, Zoe here. I'm taking over the Betrayal Broadway Instagram stories. Make sure to stay tuned for some spooky treats.
Ain't trying to catch no felony, but every time I wake up in the morning, I got mischief on my mind. Jumping over fences.
Huge arm.
Hi guys.
Hi, Zal. Hey there. What's going on?
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Have you thought about what you're wearing for Halloween?
Well, I can't tell you that because it's a secret.
Classified information, so no way I'm telling you that.
Well,
What about you, Zal? What are you wearing for Halloween?
I can't
What are
tell.
you wearing for Halloween?
I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is that if you join us, the cast of Betrayal, on the 30th of October at 8:45 at the stage door, you might find out what all of us are wearing. Mm-hmm. And also, if you wear something excellent, you might win a prize.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. Tom Hiddleston, Zawe Ashton, and Charlie Cox are about to make their Broadway debuts in director Jamie Lloyd's riveting production of the Harold Pinter classic Betrayal here at the Jacobs Theatre, and I dropped by to catch up with the three stars during a break in rehearsal.
We just closed in London, and it's quite surreal, but incredibly exciting to be here.
I've seen so many incredible shows here over the years, and for me it's just incredible to be part of such an incredible, I keep saying the word incredible, help. You can feel the dynasty, and it's just wonderful to be able to be a part of it. We didn't expect it to transfer, it wasn't part of some master plan, and it just feels really great to be able to share it with a bigger audience.
I first came to this theatre to see Samuel L. Jackson and Angela Bassett in The Mountaintop, and I never, at that time, Broadway seemed like a very remote possibility for me. So to be here in this beautiful theatre with this, fantastic play is a great thrill.
The funny thing for us is that we rehearsed this play in February, and none of us have said these lines for a few months. So the idea that we're opening in 6 days is a little bit nerve-wracking. But I've been out here I've been in New York for 6 years now. And it wasn't that long ago that I was in between seasons of Dead. I was thinking I'd love to go and be able to do some more theatre. And I came here to watch The Ferryman, and it's been like that, how quickly that's happened. So very, a bit of a serendipity there, but very exciting.
You're working with Jamie Lloyd, probably the most brilliant Pinter director.
I've been collaborating with Jamie for about 10 years now, and exactly as you say, he is the master at turning a classic into something that feels very vital and very fresh. I just feel like the three of us have inhaled betrayal in such an intense and special way. It's a play that very, very much sneaks up on you. The three of us get on immensely well, and we all love Pinter, and we're all kind of committed to what he's written. But what you can't predict, and what's incredible about doing this play night after night, is you just can't predict the unknown. This kind of special chemical thing that just happens between the three of us, and I think Jamie is so much responsible for that because of the way that we rehearsed it. It was extremely organic, it was natural, it wasn't forced. I think there can be sometimes a pressure that people feel with Pinter, especially with his pauses, that you kind of have to hit people over the head with them. But what Jamie wanted to create was something that felt very tender, as well as Pinter's brutality never being far from the centre of everything.
Well, I love this play. I read it when I was a student, and I think it's one of the great plays about relationships and intimacy. It's a play about trust, it's a play about knowledge, and that through knowledge you can get power, and who holds power in the end. In Pinter's world, life is a battle, often between men, in this case between two men over one woman, and I think there are some very deep, relatable themes about the experience of being alive that he really gets into, and we've done 109 performances already in London. We've got another 150 odd coming up on Broadway. And as Zawe said, it doesn't. It feels new. It feels fresh every night. And partly that's, I think, to do with the audience, because we are in a live theatre, and their attentiveness and the capacity of each audience to connect with the piece. We've all been in relationships. We've all been in relationships that worked, but relationships that haven't worked, and I think that's why the play will never get old.
I was lucky enough to work with Jamie and Harold together right before Harold died, the year before Harold died in 2007, and so remember, Harold, it's no secret, can be quite opinionated, and he so trusted Jamie and was so impressed with Jamie back then, when Jamie was tender age of, I think, 23 or 24, I can't remember. That coming back to work with him again 10 years later on another Harold Pinter play, and remembering how much Harold championed Jamie and liked his choices and thought that he directed his work, if not better than anyone, certainly on par with many of the great directors, gives us, I think, great confidence.
Yeah.
It certainly gives me great confidence to trust that what Jamie suggests and what he kind of ends up, what we all end up collaborating to find is valid and something that Harold would be pleased with and proud of.
I wish I'd become more involved with Harold Pinter at an earlier age, and if if there's one thing that the three of us might be doing is bringing younger people, not even younger people, but people that are brand new to Harold's work, whether that means that you're from another country or you're not actually that into theatre or whatever it might be, to bring a new audience to his work feels exciting, because I wish I'd had that myself.
I love the idea that, as you say, people who know us from the film work and TV work that we've done, particularly Marvel fans, for example, who have not been to many, if any, plays. I love the idea that they buy a ticket and show up and watch this, and what that impact it would have on their idea of understanding of acting and performance and characters and stuff. I mean, it's obviously very, very different. So I hope that that's the case. I hope people come to this with fresh eyes and a new perspective on what actors do.
Well, the theatre is where it started for me. I think, we live in a world of so many things to call our attention, and for me, there's something still magic about 1,200 people sitting in the same room, listening to the same story, watching the same story unfold. When you're in an audience, you enter the room as an individual, but you leave as part of a group because you've had a connection to the same thing, a shared understanding of the same thing, perhaps something you've always known or perhaps something you've only just learned for the first time. So that is really exciting.
Harold Pinter's Betrayal was first produced in London in 1978, and since then it's had countless productions. This is the 4th Broadway production. Why do actors always want to do this play?
Yes, it is a modern masterpiece, I think. There's something about it that I think we'll never get tired of investigation. It's a play about relationships and intimacy and how 3 very complex people relate. And I think Pinter's very specific analysis or presentation of these 3 complex relationships is very honest and very daring and very profound.
There's one central affair in the play, but there are many, many betrayals. I was wondering if we could catalog them a little bit. Let's talk about the betrayals.
Very good idea.
The betrayal catalogue. Let's do it.
Number one is
Marriage.
The Betrayal of Robert by Emma and Jerry.
Right, Emma and Robert are married.
So the betrayal of Robert, the husband, by his wife Emma and his best friend,
Yeah.
who was best man at their wedding.
Wedding.
So that's the first betrayal. Second betrayal,
He never lets me forget it.
Friendship.
the betrayal of Jerry by Robert, because Robert finds out and doesn't tell Jerry, and then Jerry feels betrayed that Robert didn't let Jerry know that he knew.
Yes, that's a big betrayal.
Yeah.
The betrayal by Emma to Jerry of knowing that her husband and his best friend knows and doesn't tell him. The betrayal of Judith potentially with another woman.
Yes, that's one as well.
The betrayal of Judith by Harold Pinter for not giving her a
Giving
chance,
her at least one moment.
to speak for herself.
There's also, we talk about this all the time, but the betrayal of the younger self. The way that as you get older, you sometimes unwittingly betray your more youthful ideals.
And potentially exploring the idea that it's only through the betrayal of oneself that you leave yourself open to be betrayed and to betray others, ultimately.
So with all of these betrayals,
How are we doing? 8, 9
That was a
betrayals?
lot.
I think it was a few, yeah.
It's a big catalogue,
it's
actually.
a big catalog, but you're not really siding with one person as things go along. It feels very non-judgmental. Can we talk a little bit about that kind of lack of responsibility maybe, or you're not pinning it on one person, the betrayal in this play.
Yeah.
Yes, but I
it's
think
one of the
that's
most important things, isn't it?
yeah. The more I understand the play and the more I learn about Harold and his life, I think that is really fundamental. I feel like that was part of a feeling that he had at the beginning of the process of writing it. Was that it would be wrong, and it would demonstrate not a very deep understanding of human beings and life to be able to pin a responsibility very clearly on something in this situation. It is there are many, many responsibilities.
Yeah. I think the other thing to say is we're all on stage at the same time in this piece, and I think that audiences get a lot from that because you can sort of really feel the loneliness.
It feels like the way it's staged by Jamie Lloyd very brilliantly, that you're like satellites, that you get close together at times, even if one person might not be in the scene. Tell me a little bit about what the subtext of that is in your minds.
I think his initial idea, and it is a brilliant one, was that Betrayal is a play between different couples, and because these relationships are codependent, somehow the marriage and the friendship and the affair are triangulated. That the third object, which would be alive in the mind, is physically present. I think that's really an interesting conceit, and also because I think probably at the end of the story, the satellites fragment and they go off on their own direction. At the end of the story, I don't think the relationships survive. I think the marriage is over, the affair is over, the friendship is over, and suddenly the magnetic charge or the electrical charge that's been keeping these satellites in the same orbit dissipates.
The other thing, just to add on to that point, I would say as well, is that there, the word betrayal and the idea of betrayal is given so much more power when there is great love between the betrayer and the betrayed, the betrayed. Therefore, having the other party on stage, present the whole time, says as much as it does for the audience, but I think it's also like a ghost for the characters in the scene. It's that they're haunted by, and there's moments in the play where I think you really feel like Jerry and Emma are haunted by the ghost of Robert.
Yeah. I keep finding new information in the scenes when I'm not in them between Robert and Jerry about my life with you and my life with you and their lives together, and it really does inform what journey your character's on. And for me, it informs the next scene sometimes. It's just lovely. I actually don't know what I would do if I had to go off to the dressing room and be on my own. I can't imagine this play being done in any other way, really.
Next up, we have a treat for our listening audience. The cast of the Broadway play Betrayal here to share a slice of the Harold Pinter classic with us tonight. Tom Hiddleston, Zoe Ashton, and Charlie Cox. Thanks y'all so much for joining us. What you doing? What you doing tonight? Something from the play, one assumes.
Yeah, there's something. We thought we might do scene 4 from Betrayal by Harold Pinter. And just to set this up, the scene takes place in the middle of the play, smack bang in the middle, and I play Robert, a publisher, whose wife is Emma, a gallerist, and Robert's best friend, Jerry, who's a literary agent. But at this point in the play, the audience know that Jerry and Emma have been having an affair. And the conceit is, Pinter's genius is that in this scene, the audience know that Robert knows, and that Jerry doesn't know that Robert knows. And Jerry has come to visit Robert and Emma at their house in the evening. Emma, Jerry is here.
Who?
Jerry.
I'll be down.
Cheers.
Cheers.
She's just putting Ned to bed. I should think he'll be off in a minute.
Off where?
Dreamland.
Oh, yes. How is your sleep these days?
What?
Do you still have bad nights? With Ned, I mean.
Oh, I see. Well, no. No, actually. But it's getting better. You know what they say?
What?
They say boys are worse than girls.
Worse?
Babies. They say boy babies cry more than girl babies.
Do they?
You didn't find that to be the case?
Yes, I think we did. Did you?
Yes. What do you make of it? Why do you think that is?
Well, I suppose boys are more anxious.
Boy babies?
Yes.
What the hell are they anxious about? At their age, do you think?
Well, facing the world, I suppose. Leaving the womb, all that.
What about girl babies? They leave the womb too.
That's true. It's also true no one talks much about girl babies leaving the womb, do they?
I'm prepared to do so.
I see. Well, what have you got to say?
I was asking you a question.
What was it?
Well, why do you assert that boy babies find leaving the womb more of a problem than girl babies?
Have I made such an assertion?
You went on to make a further assertion to the effect that boy babies are more anxious about facing the world than girl babies.
Do you yourself believe that to be the case?
I do, yes.
Why do you think it is?
I have no answer.
Do you think it might have something to do with the difference between the sexes?
Good God, you're right. That must be it.
Hello? Surprise?
I was having tea with Casey,
Where?
just round the corner.
I thought he lived in Hampstead or somewhere.
You're out of date.
Am I?
He's left Susanna. He's living alone round the corner.
Oh!
Writing a novel about a man who leaves his wife and 3 children and goes to live alone on the other side of London to write a novel about a man who leaves his wife and 3 children.
I hope it's better than the last one.
The last one. Ah, the last one. Wasn't that the one about the man who lived in a big house in Hampstead with his wife and 3 children, writing a novel
Why
about...
didn't you like it?
I've told you, actually.
I think it's the best thing he's written.
It may be the best thing he's written, but it's still bloody dishonest.
Dishonest? In what way dishonest?
I've told you, actually.
Have you?
Yes, she has. Once when we were all having dinner, I remember. You, me, Emma, and Judith. Where was it? Emma gave a dissertation over the pudding about dishonesty in Casey, with reference to his last novel, Drying Out. It was most stimulating. Judith had to leave, unfortunately, in the middle of it for her night shift at the hospital. How is Judith, by the way?
Very well.
When are we going to play squash?
Nah, you're too good.
Not at all. I'm not good at all. I'm just fitter than you.
Yes, but why? Why are you fitter than me?
Because I play squash.
Oh, you're playing? Regularly? With whom?
Casey, actually.
Casey? Good Lord, what's he like?
He's a brutally honest squash player. No, really, we haven't played for years. We must play. You were rather good.
Yes, I was quite good. All right, I'll give you a ring.
Why don't you?
We'll make a date.
Right.
Let's do that.
Then I'll take you to lunch.
No, I'll take you to lunch.
The man who wins buys the lunch.
Can I watch?
What?
Why can't I watch? And then take you both to lunch.
Well, to be brutally honest, we wouldn't actually want women around, would we, Jerry? I mean, a game of squash isn't simply a game of squash. It's rather more than that. You see, first there's the game. And then there's the shower. And then there's the pint, and then there's lunch. After all, you've been at it. You've had your battle. And what you want is your pint and your lunch. You really don't want a woman buying you lunch. You don't actually want a woman within a mile of the place. Any of the places, really. You don't want her in the squash court. You don't want her in the shower, or the pub, or the restaurant. You see, at lunch, you want to talk about squash. Or cricket. Or books. Or even women. With your friend, and be able to warm to your theme without fear of improper interruption. That's what it's all about. What do you think, Jerry?
I haven't played squash for years.
Well, let's play next week.
Can't next week. I'm in New York.
Are you?
I'm going over with one of my more celebrated writers, actually.
Who?
Casey. Someone wants to film that novel of his you didn't like. We're going over to discuss it. It was a question of them coming over here or us going over there. Casey thought he deserved the trip.
What about you?
What?
Do you deserve the trip?
Judith going.
No. He can't go alone. We'll have that game of squash when I get back. A week. Or at the most 10 days.
Lovely.
Bye.
Charlie Cox, Zoe Ashton, and Tom Hiddleston with a scene from Harold Pinter's play Betrayal. Catch it on Broadway now, later tonight actually. The second show today for them until December 8th. You're listening to Live from Here.
Briefly, just before the masterpiece is unveiled. I can't wait. I just wanted to say a few words. It has been the most extraordinary experience being here in New York, being here on Broadway. Never done it before. And as you know, it's been the same for Zoe and for Charlie and for Eddie. And for Jamie, who I wish he were here for this. But I think I'll bring him and show him the caricature later. And I am so grateful to so many people in this room who have welcomed us so warmly and made the space for us and worked so hard on making this such an extraordinary experience. There are so many people to thank individually, and I have a feeling the next 4 days are going to be full of individual thanks. I particularly just want to say a few words of thanks. Firstly to Bob Wankel and the Schuberts for having us at the Jacobs. I believe Bernard Jacobs has a caricature on the wall, so Richard Burton, Kermit the Frog, I'm in good company. But Bob, thank you for many things, and particularly for installing a shower. Make good use of it. And next to him, thank you to David Kolodner for everything you've done in making this possible. Thank you to the Broadway League, thank you to the American Theatre Wing and the Actors Fund, who we've been working with so closely. Huge thanks, eternal thanks to crew at the Jacobs, to Bruce Klinger and Frank Lombardi and Diane and all the faces. Jeff, I can see there. Emma Lyles, the most professional member of our company, looking marvellous. Thanks to Jeff and Wendy and Diane and everybody, really. Thank you to Emily. Emily's going home tonight, so she won't be here on Sunday. And thank you to Ben and everyone who's made this possible. What else would I like to say? Thank you to Max. For making space on the wall. We've got Anthony Hopkins right here, who played my dad once upon a time. It really is a huge honour. I feel very humbled by all this. Just listening to Julie, I never expected it, honestly. Jamie asked me to be part of this gala, and many of the actors in that gala had a relationship with Harold Pinter, worked with him personally or knew him personally, and I had only met him once. He'd come to see me in a production of Othello and had simply said afterwards, I never need to see Othello again. Which I think was a compliment. But he's been a big part of my life in lots of ways, a huge inspiration for me. His Nobel lecture, as many of you know, is something I wear very closely. I think he crystallized and articulated the reason why so many of us are in the performing arts, why we think theatre and drama is important, because it's a way of exploring our lives and our reality through art. Zoe and I turned up and did scene 5, the Venice scene, and it's given birth to this extraordinary year of my life. And a year is a long time. And I know the older we get, the shorter they seem. But to do this play every day and to do it with such extraordinary people who are so committed to bringing it to life has really been an honor. Endings are interesting for me. I can't quite organize this experience in my mind yet. And I know that over the coming days and weeks, so many memories and images and feelings will come to the fore. But it has been extraordinary. And I've already been speaking for too long. So I'll hand over just to say thank you to all of you sincerely from the bottom of my heart. And let's have a look at this. Okay.
And gentlemen, straight ahead, right up here. Gentlemen, right up here.
There are no hard distinctions between what is real and what is unreal, nor between what is true and what is false. Sometimes you feel you have the truth of a moment in your hand, and it slips through your fingers. Our beginnings never know our ends.
Final show.
Everyone, that was the final performance of Betrayal. I just wanted to say, on behalf of all of us, we have been performing this play for the best part of a year. And we started in London, we started rehearsing on the 1st of February, we opened in London on the 4th of March. We came here, we started rehearsing on August the 10th, I think, and now it's December the 8th, and that's been a significant chunk of our lives. And I wanted just to take the opportunity to thank everybody who made it happen. From here to London, to thank all the crew and everyone at the Harold Pinter Theatre and everyone at ATG, all the way to here in New York, everyone at 101, the Schubert, the Broadway League, the American Theatre Wing, particularly to Wendy and Jeff and Bruce and Rachel and everybody who's been so welcoming in New York, to our producers Adam and Emily and Ben and many more, to a very special person who's flown all the way from London, having just opened another show, our director Jamie Lloyd. Who's been with us for the whole ride. The ushers and the house staff here at the table. All our crew here, all our stage managers, LX, sound, all the Chris's. Matt, MVP Frank Diane. Matt, MVP Frank Diane. We couldn't have done this without you. And I'd like to thank two last thanks. I'd like to thank you, the audience, for being as generous. I just personally would like to thank my colleagues. That's a Pinter pause. We lived this play at such an extraordinary piece of work, and we all think it's about. Well, you make up your minds what you think, but we think it's about three people specifically who love each other very much, and it's because they love each other they have the capacity to hurt each other. It's been a very profound experience to inhabit Harold Pinter's extraordinary words and his pauses and silences over this time. I couldn't personally have wished for more extraordinary artists to share this journey with. I'm so proud of them and grateful for them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This really means an awful lot. I mean, it really does. It's kind of mind-blowing, to be honest. I've never won an award for directing ever before, and for it to come from you is just it really genuinely means a lot, an awful lot. And also the experience of doing the Pinter season and then these three productions was literally the best experience of my career to date. So I will remember this for a long, long time. When he saw my production of Betrayal, my old friend and mentor Michael Grandage sent me a text message which said, "Congratulations, you old cunt." After all these years, you finally directed something good. It must come as something of a relief, is what he said. So in many ways, I guess this award is something of an apology to Michael and to all the critics for having to sit through 15 years of slightly dodgy productions until I worked out how to do something half decent. So thank you for your patience and apologies. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone involved in all of these productions, hundreds if not thousands of people, obviously too many to thank. Thank you so much to everybody at Regent's Park, William and Tim and all the staff there. We had the most amazing time. Of course, everyone at Jamie Lloyd Company and Ambassador Theatre Group, huge thanks. The support that ATG have given the company and me for the last 7 years is extraordinary, and I'm forever indebted to them. And Adam and Emily, it is a real joy to wake up every morning and to create and produce the Jamie Lloyd Company work with you, alongside you every day. And I can't thank you enough for all your work on it. Thank you. I've got to give a big shout out to all the creative teams and backstage staff on all these three productions, not least, of course, my long-term collaborator Sutra Gilmore, who designed all three of these productions. She's an extraordinary artist and an amazing friend, and obviously a significant part of the creation of these productions. And of course, the incredible casts. All of these actors gave all of themselves to the process. And you know, I love actors. I really love actors. I love working with actors. They're great creative artists, and all of these people involved in these productions inspired each other and all of us every day. Just one last thing is that I truly believe that directing the work of Harold Pinter has made me a better director, and I'm really feel very privileged to have spent about a year or more in the Pinterverse and exploring his work. And I really would not have understood it if it wasn't for a critic, and that's Michael Billington. Spending time with Michael, talking about Harold's work, his extraordinary insight, and his definitive biography of Harold and his work is actually a sort of handbook. It sort of tells you how to do his work, and I don't think I would have understood the plays as much without it. So thank you, Michael. You'll be really missed, and thank you to everybody. Thank you.
The next award is something I probably know a little bit about, and that's revivals. Yes? How many times? Coming up to 4, maybe. So the next award is for Best Play Revival.
Betrayal, Harold Pinter Theatre. Death of a Salesman, Young Vic and Piccadilly Theatre. Present Laughter, The Old Vic. A Midsummer Night's Dream, Bridge Theatre. Lungs, The Old Vic.
And the winner for Best Play Revival is... Betrayal!
Thank you so much. I'm Jamie Lloyd. I directed Betrayal, and I'm accepting this, thank you. I'm accepting this on behalf of absolutely everyone that collaborated on this project, literally hundreds and hundreds of people. So I thank you to all of them. But also thank you so much, I just want to say thank you to a lot of the fans, Marvel fans, who are probably part of the reason that I'm standing here right now. Thank you so much for voting. But also, you know, it was kind of amazing to that a lot of them did come to see the show. Some of them had never even been to the theatre before. They might have seen it for 15 quid, because we did thousands of £15 tickets in the best seats in the house. And to introduce the work of Harold Pinter to a whole new generation was a real privilege. It was a really special moment for us all working on this, because it did come as the culmination of our Pinter at the Pinter season, which of course marked 10 years since the death of the late, great Harold Pinter, and I only regret that he wasn't around to see it. So ultimately, this is for Harold. Thank you very much.